Hello, hello. Welcome to week 2 of Manifest More Abundance. Super excited to be here with you today. Today, we're going to be diving into 3 money blocks and abundance blocks that I see. We might actually talk about 4. And I'm going to be sharing a few energy practices to help you shift your energy to call in more abundance and also to get into flow, creative flow, abundant flow, flow with love. So, if you haven't already, come join us in the Facebook community and share with us. Share with us where you are, share with us what you're calling in, and I'd love to connect with you. One thing that I do want to say before we drop deeper in, actually, 2 things. First, if you're not sure what you're wanting to cultivate, what you're wanting to call in, that is totally okay. There there is cycles of manifestation and there's cycles of abundance. We are not always in bloom, right? So if you're not exactly sure on what seeds you're wanting to plant, it's okay. It's okay. You can still cultivate the ground, right? Whether that's pulling out the weeds, whether that is bringing in fertilizer and just beginning to prepare the environment. Then, when you are clear, right? When you're clear on what it is that you really want, the ground's going to be fertile. Your energy is going to be cultivated. Your energy is going to have a clarity to it. And it's going to be that much easier for you to get into alignment and to manifest and call in the results that you're wanting for yourself, the money, the clients, the abundance. Okay. And what's coming to me is there have been so many times when I haven't been clear on what I wanted, and my prayer or my intention was, I want to know what I truly desire. I want to feel so turned on and enlivened by life. I want to feel that excitement, that spark. I desire to feel that spark. So I didn't know what it was, right? That was calling me, but that was the seed that I was holding. I desire to feel my desire. Okay. So if you're not sure on what you're wanting to call in, maybe it's an emotion, maybe it's a feeling, a sensation. This is part of the way that we cultivate the space. We begin to nourish, nur- nurture, nurture the ground, right? So I wanted to sprinkle some of that in. And then the next thing that I want to share is I've talked to a few women who are feeling kind of burnout. They have been doing energy work, doing mindset work, doing all of this self-care stuff, and they feel like it's not actually moving the needle forward for them. They aren't getting the thing that they want, right? Like they're not manifesting the things in their career that they want. They're not manifesting the relationship. They haven't manifested it yet. And they're like, okay, I've put in a lot of effort. I've done a lot of work. Things aren't happening for me. So, while, yeah, this is great. Also, like, I'm a little burnout on all of it. And if you're feeling like that, I just want to say I see you. I really, really do. And there's so much that I can say to this. Um, but what I really want to speak to here is there is this sort of like pushing or striving energy, and it's a programming. It is a cultural, social, society programming. Also, there's the good girl programming. And sometimes those those programs keep us, it's sort of like there's a hologram of us, right? And it keeps us like right on the edge of ourself. So while we're doing the work and doing the things and going through the motions, we're not fully in ourself, fully in our heart, fully in our body, in our energy space. And so then what happens is things aren't manifesting into physical form. And when this is happening and this is present, a few things could happen. There's deeper layers, right? So there's deeper places or parts of you that are really needing to be seen and acknowledged. There may be some ancestral patterns, programming, or generational that you're holding. And so there may be some deeper medicine and gifts for you to actually receive and hone in on and cultivate from the experience. There's something here that's wanting your attention, right? And so it's not your lack of effort, it's actually potentially where you're focused. So don't give up, don't lose hope. Okay. Mm. Yeah, there's who we are, of shaping who we are and becoming who we are. And when I was in some of the depths of what I went through the past really 5 years, I couldn't I couldn't see the magic. I couldn't see the magic. I was like, I have no idea what is going to come out of this. I have no idea why this would be for me. Right? I could not see it at all or feel it at all when I was in the muck of it. Now that I have done a lot of work to climb out, I can see more clearly and I can feel my capacity, how much stronger I am, how much more embodied I am, how much more capable I am of holding a sturdy space for people, um, showing up for myself, for my own life, right? So that's what I want to say to that. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in. And if you have, let me know. Let me know below if this is resonating with you, if something's coming forward for you. Share below. I'd love to hear from you. I will come back in the YouTube comments and engage. I promise you. Okay, so let's dive in. Things that are blocking your money and abundance flow. The first one is this belief that you have to be high vibe or you have to be in a certain state or a certain vibration to call in abundance and to call in prosperity, to call in money. That is absolutely not true. And so if you have been cycling in this loop, right? It can feel a bit like being tumbled in a tidal wave, right? Because you work really hard to try to get on a positive, like on top of the wave, and then something happens, or maybe you're just straight up tired, or maybe it's your cycle, right? And your body's just going through a natural process, and then you're like exhausted, maybe a little moody, you're clearing, releasing emotions, and then you begin to attach stories to that or beat yourself up for not, you know, being high vibe. And so if you find yourself in this level of experience, this is your permission slip. You don't have to be high vibe to call in abundance, to call in money. Actually, I remember years ago, I had a week in my Facebook community where I talked about this conversation. And I had, I think, like 3 or 4 people scheduled discovery calls with me that week. And I had at least 2 people sign up to work with me that week, where I was talking about just honoring where you truly were in your heart, right? Like what's really truly on your heart. So sometimes we're frustrated, and we need to let ourselves go through that experience. It is about knowing yourself enough to know when you're sabotaging yourself, to know when you're maybe in a collapse cycle, to know when you're in a fight or flight cycle. And again, it's not about not ever having these experiences, but it's being able to identify when you're having that experience and then knowing how to meet yourself there. So, what is it that you need? What is it that you need to, one, stay open to the flow of life? Two, what is it that you need to be able to move forward? Abundance is simply breathing, the air, it's abundant. It is always here for us. When you're feeling grouchy, the air doesn't say like, "Nope, I'm not going to give you oxygen today because you're in a bad mood." It is still there, giving gravity. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you're showing up to this. Ground into it. Find the safety, cultivate the safety, right? In this pure abundance and prosperity that is just simply part of life, then that can begin to grow. Okay, so first block is the belief that you have to be a certain way to be able to have abundance. It's just not true. The second block that I want to speak to is when we're holding heavy energies. And often, there's a part of us that doesn't want to be seen, but when we're holding energies of shame, judgment, comparison, resentment, and she cultivate that, and here I am in a state of burnout, or um here I am starting from scratch, or what feels like scratch even though it's not. I've had shame around the way that abundance has showed up for me. So, about 5 years ago, um, I was with my ex at the time, and we went through a process where we moved a few different times. And then we ended up living at my grandparents' camp, and it was a lake house on the lake in the swamp. And I felt so much shame, and I felt so much self judgment around this. I felt like I should be supporting myself enough to have whatever I wanted, and I shouldn't be receiving this from my grandparents, right? Them graciously allowing me to stay in their space. And yeah, I paid the utilities and whatnot, but they let me stay there rent free. And I had so much shame around being in that situation, self judgment that blocks off abundance. And during COVID, I received a loan, not a loan, a grant. I was gifted money, a business grant, $15,000, just because, right? Just because it was COVID. And I received it gracefully. And yet, like, there was part of me that still felt like, but is this really safe to receive? When I lost my home in the hurricane, I received money from FEMA, right? So I've received all of this support, and yet because of the circumstances, and I had some shame around the circumstances, or like, how did I end up in this situation? Have you ever felt like that? Let me know in the comments below. Like, you go through something in life and you're like, but this isn't me. Like, how did this happen to me? I didn't think like this would ever happen to me. And then you're like, you know, having a hard time, like, and that can block our abundance flow. But what I can say, right? So we can get attached, and this is actually the next the next block, so I'm going to weave it in. It's like what we focus on. So there's always abundance. So even when we're going through these really challenging situations, there's always abundance there. So it's like, what are you going to choose to focus on? Are you going to choose to focus on the lack? Because you can have abundance in lack. You can have abundance in challenges. You could have abundance in hardship or working really hard work. You can have abundance in all of that. Or you can shift your focus to what else is there. So, like for me, the experience that I went through, I got to see the people that truly loved me. So, there was love there, and there was support. The way that my family and several of my friends showed up to support me emotionally, mentally, sometimes physically, even if it was getting on the phone with me. So we can choose, right, what we're actually investing in, where we're investing our time, our attention, our energy, our thoughts, our emotions, and what we're focusing on. So, where, right, where are you maybe holding on to some guilt? Maybe like you should have figured it out by now. You should be further along by now. Or shame or self-judgment. It's not happening for you. Something must be wrong with you. And yeah, so even in that, where's the abundance? I am a sacral generator. And so my authority is to respond. Sometimes I learn through contrast. So sometimes I have an experience, and I'm an alchemist as well, right? So I'll have an experience, and the abundance actually comes from me receiving that experience and alchemizing it into something new or more aligned for me, right? Like receiving it, responding to it, and then making a gift out of it or an offering. Some of my best offers in my business, this is how they were cultivated and created. I worked with, I don't know, like 3 or 4 business coaches. I invested really big money in the beginning of my business. I even went to New York for a full day intensive with a coach, healer, and made nothing. And it was painful. It sucked. And after I had that experience, I invested in another coach and we went through the program. She wasn't even responding to my emails. And I felt awful. I felt awful because I wasn't receiving what she promised, right? The actual deliverables of the program. And from that, I created a program, and I had a mastermind group, and I launched that a few different times in my business, and then most of those women signed up with me one-on-one. So from that experience, I created something, and then it brought me a lot of abundance, and it brought up a lot of other women abundance because I got to share my experience with them and teach from that experience. Sorry, I'm moving my leg because my leg fell asleep and I hit the table and the laptop is moving. That's the blessing of living in a camper space. Okay, so yeah, and one of my other one of my other points, is we have to be able to integrate our experiences and our wounds. So, if you do notice yourself holding on to a lot of shame, self-judgment, comparison, guilt, these energies that for me, it kind of felt like mud or muck, like covering me. I would look in the mirror and I couldn't even see who I was. If you're feeling that, there may be an invitation to do some deep healing work, um, and integration work, integrating the experiences that you've had. If you're feeling sort of out of body, right? Like disassociated from yourself, where you feel in front of yourself, or your energy's like wide open, and if you feel like, where am I in relationship to my body? There might be some integration work that's needed so that you can land in your body and allow the abundance to meet you, because it is here. The abundance is here. The problem is when we're not in our body, we can't exchange with life. We can't receive it. Okay, so open your hands if you want to be helped. So this is a Rumi quote, and it's really one of my favorite quotes. So we can get into these spaces where, we feel stuck, we feel blocked, like energy's not flowing. Open your hands, offer something. Even if you're offering it to God, here, here's my problem, here's my burden, and placing it in your hands. I need help, I need support. Or maybe it's actually making an offer. If you're not, I remember I shared years ago when I was first bringing my business online, I shared in a Facebook community like, oh my God, my bills are coming up. I don't know how I'm going to pay XYZ this month. And some of the women responded and they're like, have you made an offer? No. Okay. Well, what do you have to offer? I said, I'll offer an energy reading for $100. Some of the women in that thread purchased it from me. So one, I opened my hands and I asked for help. Two, I actually made an offer. Sometimes like I also, so when we're really in our own stuff, sometimes just being honest and transparent about where we are can let the energy move through and allow abundance to flow to us again, right? It's like your struggle, your pain can be medicine for someone else. It might be the exact experience that they need to see to know that they're not alone. They're not the only one, right? So open your hands if you want to be held. Okay, so your call to actions here, if you want to play with shifting energy, and some of it I already spoke to, but I'm just going to recap. So, one, I haven't spoken to this. Okay, so energy shifts. If you see it outside of you, and this goes with like the judgment, the comparison, those kinds of things. If you see it outside of you, it exists in you too. So if you see somebody else doing really amazing things, creating things, that is in you too. If you see somebody making $1 million, you can ask yourself, if you see somebody with laser clarity getting a ton of engagement, right? And you're like, so one, realize it's in you. Two, offer the person praise. Send blessings to them for being an activation. Can you receive the activation? Even when something crunchy happens, right? And someone triggers you, can you receive the activation? Maybe it's actually helping you to create better boundaries so then you could sell your offer. Sometimes we get clear through contrast, right? So somebody might treat you crappy, or maybe a client, you know, they're kind of wasting your time, a potential client, and they're like tottering or teeter tottering, like they want to work with you, they don't. What if the medicine that they're offering you is clarity? Can you receive that? Clarifying like how you want to hold space, who you want to hold space for. There's abundance there. Can you receive it and bless them? Okay, so another energy shift is you can literally send thank you notes to people or messages. So, thanking people that have supported you, showed up for you, encouraged you. If you're wanting to get more visible, I like to personally reach out to people who comment on my post and, you know, who give me love, I will personally reach out and thank them. So those are some of the energy shifts for shifting the comparison energy, judgment. The other one, opening your hands if you want to be held, right? How can you open your hands? And then the last energy shift that I want to give, let me just see how I want to present this. Hmm. Okay, so whether you're navigating emotions, so that was the first one, right? Like this belief that we have to be high vibe. So maybe you're having an emotional experience, or if you have had some really challenging, tricky situations, I want to offer you a perception shift. What if it's energy that has like come forward for you to heal, for you to heal mentally, emotionally? It might be to heal ancestral patterns, generational curses. So, what if it's all part of your healing journey? Can you just allow the energy to move through? Can you allow yourself to release? Release and align. Let go of the stories, even if it was a really bad relationship. Okay, what if that it actually has been essential in your life to shape who you are? Can you just let it be that simple and just release it? And I'm not saying this as a bypass to doing the work, right? There might be some work that's needed to be done, but can you just begin to hold yourself in this is for something, even if it's been essential in shaping who I am? Okay, so I feel like we went through a lot today. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. If you're wanting to go deeper personally in clearing and healing your money blocks and abundance blocks, I'm going to drop the link below for a free prosperity session. I want to invite you to claim that. So it's a 30-minute free prosperity session with me where we will dive in and we will look at what is blocking your money and abundance flow. Okay. And I do have 3 spots open to work with me one-on-one. And this week, I am offering a pretty magical bonus. So it's Valentine's week. And I'm offering a really magical special bonus to anyone who is ready to say yes. And also, the price of my one-on-one is going to be going up next week. So if you are ready to do some deep work to get your inner energy into alignment, to embody your magic so that you can begin to find alignment in your external world, in your business, and start calling in the prosperity and abundance, the money, the clients, all of the goodness that you know you're here for. Um, I'd love to support you. So claim one of those calls and we can dive in and talk and explore about the magic we can create together. I'm sending you so much love and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments.